Jacob said we're kind of lacking time, but we need to start off. For our session is on showcasing research impact in Kenya. I won't take time to speak a lot because these ladies and gentlemen will be here. We're doing the showcasing. Vasemwaja is an agriculturalist like the rest of them. I've been a researcher for more than 3 decades in different capacities. Right now, I'm with the Kenya National Academy of Sciences. I just wanted to speak 2 minutes. Kenya National Academy of Sciences is one of those institutions which were founded as part of East Africa, old East Africa. In 1983, we now are the Kenyan Academy taking shape as a Kenyan National Academy. It's a pro bono professional institution. Our responsibility is basically to give what we call information-based advice to the government on policy matters. Fortunately, the Academy has got a lot of capacity because all scholars, to some extent, are part and parcel of the Academy. Our presentations this afternoon is going to be done by 5 institutions. And these 5 institutions, we have Kenya Forestry Research. I don't know if they have come in yet. You'll be joining us. Then we have, very good. We have Jonah Kiprop from Kenya Forestry Research. We got Dr. Mwirigi from Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization, Frusenjenga Kemri, and last but not least, we have Kemefri David. David is already here, I met him yesterday, and then we have Dr. Lovadat of World Vegetable Center, Research Center. These are the 3 seasoned, I call them seasoned institutions. Yesterday, when the head of public service was giving his keynote or opening the week, he kind of put across several questions. As researchers, can we show the impact of what we have done so that we can get some more funding coming to us? Here we are, we have the good opportunity of showcasing by the researchers themselves. I'm going to allow each one of them at least 8 to 10 minutes to give us some kind of new sketch kind of what is happening in the institutions, what have been our achievements. Then after that, we'll have a few minutes to link up and ask some pertinent questions. What we're going to do, we'll try to utilize the time we have to get the benefits of that time. Now I think I'm going to open the discussion. I'm going to allow, fortunately, Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization is the oldest, and I've been associated with it myself for 40 years. So I need to recognize that. CARO is the oldest research institutions in Kenya. I was sitting in the chair a few minutes ago. We celebrated 100 years, more than about 5, 6, 7 years back. And now we want them to tell us, what are we doing today to help the Kenyans? Dr. Mwirigi, you take the floor. I don't know, we're managing the PowerPoint so that you can go ahead and start. Caro, presentation, please. Sorry. To allow for the benefits, I can ask the other presenters to be on this side so they can enjoy the show. Let the show begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Mwanja. It's always a delight to be facilitated by you. So distinguished participants to this festival, good afternoon. Yes, as CALRO, we are delighted to be here today to make just a presentation on what we have been able to do or what we are doing, and basically to highlight just a few things because Karo, like Professor Mwanja said, it is over 100 years. Most of the centers were established in early 1900 there. And over time, there have been so many technologies that have been developed. So what we are just giving is a glimpse. Yeah. So I'm here on behalf of our Director General, Dr. Eliud Kriegel, and I'm also delighted because even as I make my presentation, I have the support of my chair, the board of chair, Honorable Peter Weru. Probably you can say hi. So you can see I have all the support. So even if the DG is not here, I have all the support, and that's why I'm having even some level of confidence. So we have been given 8 minutes. This presentation I had prepared to give quite a long time. So what I'm going to do, you'll beg me, I'll just choose very specific slides so that we don't dwell on some of the things that probably you might be aware of. So as we were given this topic, role of developing and implementing agricultural technologies, and then there is a social aspect. And one of the things that came into my mind was, today, I'm 100% almost certain that you are going to interact with a Karo product. So if you took tea, there is a likelihood there was something from tea research. If you took milk, there is more likely there was a cow which was bred through Karo system. Lunch, you'll take some beef. We have a whole beef research institute. If you are going to take some rice, you're more likely to eat a komboka rice. You're going to eat beans, you're more likely to eat a nyota bean. So for us socially, actually we have fed you. Even before I give my presentation, you have already been eating the products. So I won't dwell on these slides. But what I want to highlight is how Karo is structured. I think a number of us have struggled to really understand how Karo is organized. Karo has a secretariat led by a Director General with Dr. Eliud Kriegel, together with the deputies and a secretariat. Then we have the research institutes that run the actual research. So we have livestock research institutes that includes dairy, goats and sheep, non-ruminant research institute, beef research institute, apiculture, that's where you find the bees, and then we have the veterinary. In the crop side, we have food crop research institute, horticulture, tea, coffee, sugar, industrial crops, and currently our baby, the Miraa Research Institute. We want to discover what is all this about. And then we have cross-cutting institutions which basically offer support to the other ones. And the first one, we have Biotechnology Research Institute, where I currently head as the institute director. So basically, I'm a cross-cutting institute. Our focus is to be able to support all the other institutes to do their work in terms of facilitating them with a modern way, the tools for doing it. Then we have Genetic Resources Research Institute, where we reserve or conserve all the materials that we develop. I think the question has been asked, what happens when we get new varieties, when we adapt a new way of doing things? Do we destroy the previous ones? Can we go back? Basically, the answer is yes. All the seeds that have been developed over all the many years, Professor Mwanja was highlighting, they have been preserved, and conserved within Karo. Actually, we conserve even for the region, East and Central Africa. And even some of the Northern Africa and part of European, we also have the material, because that's where we ensure that we don't lose our genetic resources. Then we have arid and rangeland resources and mechanization. So those ones are the cross-cutting. We work with a number of partners, both from public and private and international ones, and NRF is one of them. So we really acknowledge the effort that we get from NRF. So I'm going to highlight just a few technologies, but these technologies are guided by some principles. And the first one, or the main one, is that we develop research that help farmers adapt to climate change, ensuring that agricultural systems remain resilient, because there are so many challenges that come within the agricultural system. So it is our business as Carol to see that we are making our farmers more resilient. They don't despair, and also productive in the face of environmental challenges. So one of the key areas that we do is enhancing food security. And in this case, we look at improving the varieties that are already existing. There are so many challenges that come with the varieties that are there. Sometimes we are asked, when you develop the product that is resistant, are we not going to have any other diseases? Are we going to have other pests coming? But the truth is, as the climate change, we normally have increase of diseases. I can give a case scenario for maize. We had the stem borers coming in early 2010 there. By 2015, we are having fall armyworm. By 2017, we are also now dealing with maize lethal necrosis disease. So we have diseases that are coming, and it is our responsibility to develop varieties that can be able to make us resilient in that area. So we also focus on developing products that are geared toward drought resistant. Like now, we have been able to develop maize, beans, and sorghum that are quite adaptive to drought. And in this case, they can be able to withstand the stresses that come with shortage of rain. Then we have pests and diseases, and that is the main thing that we normally fight with. Because when it comes to crops, livestock, those are the main challenges the farmers face. Like you can have the maize, you have the fall armyworm that is currently probably we can be able to relate with. The fall armyworm will eat the leaves, the stems, and when it has finished, it will go even to the cob. So like this one I'm highlighting here, it is already eating into your food. So even before it comes to the table, they are feasted on it. Then we have livestock area where we basically focus on improving our breeds. Our way of keeping livestock also, and also providing or ensuring that we have a healthy herd. Yeah. So in this case, we start from the point of, can we be able to provide our farmers with the right breeds that are quite adaptable to the environments. Like now we have Sahiwa, which is well developed by Carol. We also have some Boran breeds. And those are some of the ones that we can say, even as a country, if they were to be taken as our main animals, this country would really prosper. Actually, the Australian took our bit of our Boran. And actually, currently, they are the largest producers of beef. So you can see we have the potential. It's for us to be able just to see how do we harness it. So our scientists are always developing breeds that are relevant to the ecologies. And also we are always developing vaccines and diagnostic tools to be able to manage our diseases. Like now we have an ECF vaccine that we are trying to introduce to the market. And ECF is one of the main diseases that hinders livestock development. This is a disease that is spread by a parasite, and therefore we have been able to develop a vaccine that can be able to counter that. And actually most of the vaccines that also have been developed have been given to Kenya Veterinary Vaccine Production Institutes. So most of the vaccines that we have today in Kenya being sold by the institute actually came from Calro. So that's how we are saying, if you ate an animal today, most likely it survived because it was vaccinated from a vaccine made from Calro. Then we also have other practices to do with soil management. We are always trying to help our farmers manage the soil by doing the testing and also doing the mapping. For us to be able even to distribute the fertilizers and other additives that goes to the soil, we normally do the mapping and help in terms of implementation. Then we also have developed, so that now you don't have to even to come to Calro, we have developed an apps that can be able to help us. Like now, if you go to your phone and go to where you can be able to download and download Caro app, you are going to be able to get all the advisories that you need. We have one that can be able to tell you, even to the ward level, what crop you can be able to grow and which livestock you can be able to keep. So all that is already there. Then we have another one which has what we call the TIMS, Technology Innovation Management Practices. So you can be able to learn more about a particular crop or a particular livestock. How best can you be able to manage it? And then we also have another one for the weather. You can be able to predict, we call it Caro app. You can be able to predict at least 14 days before you plant, because most of us do the guesswork. You wake up in the morning, you look at the skies, and you say, let me go and plant. Then in the area of economics, we are able to help farmers access the market by providing information, and also we are engaged in transfer of knowledge. Then lastly, we have our unit that is able to provide the products. If you visit our main Caro centers, you'll be able to have an encounter with the Mkulima shop and be able to experience or get all the kind of services that you need in terms of seed. Thank you.
Yes, done well. Let's give him another clap. Dr. Raf, is your turn. Well, I want to be, to balance the act. You know, I want to go to Asia a little bit to hear something from Asia. What's your 10 minutes?
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this prestigious research festival. Very impressive and very exciting to see so many young people. I've been told by one of the organizers more than 1,000 people this week coming, participating and looking at the various research activities that are being displayed and discussed here. And also many women. I've seen many women scientists being engaged. And okay. And that's the area that I'm going to talk about in my presentation, focusing on the impact on youth and women. So my name is Ralph Roethaert. I'm the country director for the World Vegetable Center. The World Vegetable Center is a research and development institute with a headquarters in Taiwan, but we have many offices in Asia and in Africa, including Kenya. And my presentation is about the impact of research through the Veggies and for Planet and People project in Kenya, which is implemented both by the World Vegetable Center and SNV and funded by IKEA Foundation. Is this one better? All right. Next slide, please. So we are in the field of agriculture, and before we dig deep into it, we need to understand what the challenges and the opportunities of agriculture, thank you, are. So as we can focus our research, what are the challenges? There's youth unemployment that is rampant and that the agriculture can address. Gender disparity, there's not equal opportunities between men and women in terms of education, financial access, access to resources such as land. We have food safety issues. Sometimes we don't know what we eat, whether it has been sprayed with chemicals, whether there's residual chemicals in it. There's environmental degradation, soil erosion, but also degradation of soil fertility. And there's climate change, and agriculture is responsible for 30% of greenhouse gas emissions. Now, what are the opportunities? Well, there are very good ones, and just to name a few, it's very profitable to grow vegetables, much more profitable to grow vegetables than other staple food crops such as maize and beans in terms of gross margin per square meter or per acre. World Vegetable Center has a lot of expertise in integrated pest management. These are ways of controlling pests and diseases without resorting to many dangerous chemicals. And there are opportunities to link farmers to markets. If you want to create employment, such as the Veggies for Planet and People wants to do, you need to have profitable businesses. The overall objective of Veggies for Planet and People was to create jobs and income, particularly for youth and women in the vegetable sector in Ethiopia and in Kenya, and to improve environmental and human health through safe production of vegetables. We're operating in 2 countries. In Western Kenya, you see 3 counties that are centered around the market in Kisumu. So vegetable producers in those counties, they target the Kisumu market. And in central Kenya, those counties, they target the market in Nairobi. And then you also see the areas where we work in Ethiopia. So our project is a research and development project. So where do you start? There is so much research that you can do, but resources are very limited, as we heard this morning. So you have to do a proper preparatory work. First of all, literature review, of course, what has been done already in the field. So after doing that, you also need to do some active research, some formative research in terms of value chain analysis, and that is looking at what happens in the vegetable systems all the way from the field to the fork, everything that happens in these different stages. So after having done that, there are a couple of findings which I want to highlight. There is a disconnect between producers and markets. On the one hand, you have producers of vegetables, they don't know where to sell their vegetables. And on the other hand, you have markets and they don't know where to access the vegetables. There's a demand, but the two are disconnected. Opportunity. Lack of trust at various levels. There is lack of trust between producers and traders. Producers think the traders are making all the money out of their of their nice vegetables, but there is also lack of trust between producers, and that's why they don't work together. One producer is envious of the profits that maybe another producer is making. There are lack of resources, as I've mentioned before, pests and diseases, droughts and access to irrigation facilities. You need water to grow vegetables. So, having identified those challenges, we've developed a research and development agenda. One was to develop vegetable business networks. And these vegetable business networks, they are networks perhaps at sub-county level, and we have many of them, and they consist not only of producers, but all the actors in the value chain, including input suppliers, producers, traders, transporters, and retailers. And that will address some of these trust issues and interaction issues. The next agenda was to do research on regenerative agriculture, such as dealing with pests, diseases, soil health, and water availability. And the last research agenda item is research on economic impact. If you want to create jobs, such as what we want to do, you need to make sure that your enterprise is profitable, otherwise you do not create employment. The vegetable business networks, just to give you a peek insight on how it operates, the big wheel at the bottom is what the vegetable business networks are all about. Different players acting together. But these VBNs, they need to be developed, strengthened, and supported. So that's why we had business coaches. Each VBN had one business coach. And all of these VBNs and coaches need to be trained. So World Veg, together with SNV and other NGOs such as ACE and ROA, have been providing training at grassroots level in terms of agricultural technologies and business skills for the VBNs. So, talking about the impacts, that's what we're discussing this morning. These VBNs, through this training and development and mentoring and capacity building, 139 different networks have been built all over Kenya. And these business networks have been productive. The amount of vegetables sold for all these, in all these VBNs has been 403 million shillings, or equivalent to more than $3 million over the past 3 years. And what about job creation? More than 29,000 jobs, new jobs, have been created through these VBNs in the area of vegetable production and marketing. Some other impacts, intermediary impacts. We looked at regenerative agriculture, and one of the elements is soil fertility. We compared biofertilizers with chemical fertilizers. Biofertilizers are better for the environment and better for soil health. So what we found, some of the things we found is that biofertilizers resulted in similar yields as chemical fertilizers in on-farm experiments with African nightshade. African nightshade, a crop, managu, very high in demand in the big cities. And the plots with biofertilizers had higher levels of organic matter, nitrogen, and micronutrients in the soil than those with chemical fertilizers. Now, all these elements matter because it improves soil health. If you have a better soil health, you have better plant health. If you have better plant health, you have stronger plants that do not require so much pesticides. So talking about the pesticides, we looked at biopesticides versus chemical pesticides. Tested different available biopesticides, commercially available biopesticides in Kenya in research plots, and we did this research together with Calro. And we found that neem extracts and Bacillus thuringiensis are as effective in the control of white flies and caterpillars as chemical pesticides. Well, major outcome, very, very important, because that means we can produce vegetables in a safe way. Economic impacts, very important for job creation. We tested amaranth in Moranga County, and amaranth grown in agroecological plots in on-farm trials produced 8.8 tons per hectare, which was 16% higher than in conventional plots. Gross margin was good, 126,000 shillings per hectare, almost $1,000. And very interestingly, farmers consumed 38% of the vegetables grown in the agroecological plots versus 22% from the conventional plots. That means farmers also realize the benefits of healthy vegetables. Other impacts are also other types of businesses that we created. The adoption of regenerative agriculture, 318 hectares have been converted, and these jobs such as the picture you see here, George is actually also in our stand and has made a business out of vermicompost. So in conclusion, you need to create good outcomes of your research before you can create impact, development impact, right? And your research outcomes will be more relevant if it has been designed well on a proper problem analysis. That's where it all starts. And at that design stage, you need to have your final beneficiaries in mind. So partnerships will help you to design relevant research and development impacts. Partnerships in the design phase, implementation, monitoring, and publication and dissemination. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jonah is next, Kefri. I'm sure you see that I've done the arrangement. I want the plants to finish, then animals can come. I don't want to get confused.
So thank you very much, Prof. I'm Jonah Kiprop, and I'm here to represent the director, Kefri. And I'm going to present on research partnerships and collaboration for socio-economic transformation. That is experiences from Kenya Forest Research Institute. So for an introduction, Kenya Forest Research Institute is a state corporation. We are domiciled within the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. And our key mandates as KEFRI, we are to conduct research in forestry and allied natural resources. We are also to disseminate the research findings to the stakeholders. and also build capacity in terms of forestry issues. And also one of the key mandates which ties up with this forum is issues of partnerships and cooperations with research institutions, both research organizations and institutions of higher learning. So as KEFRI, we are currently implementing the 7th strategic plan, and our programs are mainly tailored in 5 areas of research. The first one is issues to do with forest productivity, health, and tree improvement, where we are breeding commercially viable tree species. We are also looking at issues to do with the forest biodiversity, climate change, which is one of the most pressing issues currently. And also we are focusing on forest products and entrepreneurship development. We are also very key in terms of issues to do with policy, developing policies for the forest sector. And lastly, we are focused on issues to do with supporting research through technology and other aspects. So, as KEFRI, we have developed various products and technologies that have been instrumental in assisting the country to achieve its national and also the global agenda. We are focused mainly on issues to do with high-quality tree germplasm. This is to support increasing the tree cover, development of diversification of tree species within the agricultural landscapes, also issues to do with innovative digital products. We have our digital platform where we are monitoring the 15 billion tree initiative, which we are doing with the ministry. So those are just highlights of what we have been doing. So in terms of collaborations, partnerships, what we have been able to do, I'll build on research work that KEFRI has done for the past 35 years, and I'll just showcase highlights of some of the partnerships we had with different stakeholders. So one of the first projects we implemented in the 1997, around 1997, was the International Forestry Resources and Institutions Collaborating Project. So this project, the key focus was studying the intricate relationship between communities and how they manage their forest. So from the findings, it's when we started the community forest associations, as that is decentralizing the forestry management in Kenya. And that was entrenched in the Forest Act of 2005 and also the Forest Conservation Management Act of 2026, not 2026, but 2016. Another key area was in issues to do with dryland forestry research, where we have collaborated with JICA for the past 35 years. And the areas of collaboration has been on training and capacity building, and also issues of introducing drought-tolerant tree species in the dryland areas of Kenya. So we have managed to introduce Melia volkensi as one of the key indigenous species. We have also had technical cooperations in forestry research, and also we had a forestry extension model development project, which we were able to do with JICA. So we have also been developing sustainable forest value chains with the partners, mainly FAO, JEF, and GCF, where we are looking at non-timber forest products. And we have been able to focus on gums and resins, bamboo, wild indigenous trees, and others. So from the impacts, like for the gums and resins work, we have been able to organize value chain actors. We have also been able to build capacity of over 3,000 community members on different aspects to do with the value chains. And also we have organized and linked producers to the markets. So we are also focused on managing forest pests and diseases. And this, we are working with the stakeholders we have collaborated with CABI and also ICRAF and other partners. We also had another project where we are looking at invasive species, that is prosopis, where we have been able to control that. So those are highlights of what we have been doing. And those are the interventions. And that is how we have been able to do product development. So as KEFRI also, we are bidding, we will be hosting the UFRO 2029 Congress, and those are our partners. So this is a key area for collaboration. In conclusion, the key highlights is we need to build crucial research partnerships to transform for economic transformation. We also need to do capacity building, policy influence, and also innovative technology transfer. Thank you.
I give Jonah A+. Thank you, Jonah. David, let's see about the samaki, fish now. It's time to have some fish before lunch, and then we can move on.
Okay, that's fine. Do we have the presentation, maybe? Yes, the presentation comes up. My name is David Mirera. I work for Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute, based in Mombasa. I'm making this presentation on behalf of the CEO, Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute, who could not be here today. I'll be looking at research and societal impacts, and I'll start off by providing an overview of what KEMFRI is and what is the mandate of KEMFRI. We are actually mandated to undertake research in the aquatic environment in different aspects: fisheries, aquaculture, environment, geology, oceanography, and all that, to provide information for purposes of investment in the blue economy. So that is precisely the mandate of KEMFRI. I just want to provide a snapshot of where are we in terms of where we are stationed, the different stations that we have across the country. As you can be able to see in the map, we have almost very many stations working in different aspects. Some of them in marine, others in freshwater environment, and of course others focusing on aquaculture research. Now, allow me to present an overview of the research that we have undertaken or we undertake, and what its contribution to society is. I present that picture there because we undertake stock assessment of fish, so that we are able to know what is the biomass of fish in the water bodies that we have across the country. We have an RV Mutaviti that works in the Indian Ocean, of course, that we partnered to get from Belgium, is helping us a lot. Using that vessel, we have been able to map the northern parts of Kenya. And then, we have been able to map the northern parts of Kenya, and then of course try to find out the biomass of fish in there. We have established that the fish biomass there is quite significant and can be up to 243,000 metric tons in a year if properly harvested. But of course, through the same vessel, we use echo sounders, which then are able to tell us where the fish are, and then we can be able to map and provide the estimates from there. So, sorry, I think I need to get some water, sorry. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Okay, so we have been able to use the echo sounders to find where the fish are, and so what you can be able to see from the pictures there is information of where the fish are and how we use the echo sounders using the research vessel. And of course, in this other picture up there, we have been able to establish that in the northern parts of Kenya, in the ocean, we have seamounts. And seamounts have got huge biomass of fish, but of course they need to be utilized sustainably and of course well managed. That's the information that those graphs are showing there. It's also important to note that we also look at where the fish are, which are the breeding grounds. And I've provided that map there to show that we have established about 13 areas where the fish are breeding in Lake Victoria, and we have mapped them out. So these areas will be discussed and of course managed to ensure that you don't breed the fish that are breeding in those areas. So these are important information for management of the fisheries. I provide that information there just to show that we are undertaking research in carbon sequestration using the mangroves. And what we know from the research that we have done is that mangroves can be able to sequester 10 times more carbon from the atmosphere compared to terrestrial environment. And so we have undertaken pilot research in Gazi Bay. We are working in Vanga, and we are also working in Lamu. And of course, we have initiated interventions for the communities to be paid for conservation of the mangroves, and communities are getting money out of that. In Gazi Bay, they are getting up to 4 million in a year. In Vanga, they are getting up to 10 million per year. And in Lamu, we are projecting that they will get about 100 million per year for purposes of conserving mangroves for carbon sequestration. And that resources goes into supporting several community interventions, like, for example, building schools, like providing pipe to water, and several other social amenities in the community. We are also working on other critical ecosystems like mangroves, like of course coral reef ecosystems. The coral reef ecosystem is actually a very key ecosystem in the ocean, which provides several benefits. And so we are realizing that over time there is coral bleaching and corals die out. And so what we have come out is to look for techniques on how we can be able to plant to restore coral reefs where they have actually been degraded because of climate change issues. So we are working out with communities to ensure that this one works. And of course, through that, we are also preserving the aquarium industry in the marine environment that is a billion industry in Kenya. Of course, other ecosystems that we work in is the seagrass beds, and of course, to ensure that where the fish are breeding and eating, then we can be able to preserve them. I also wish to mention here that out of the research and techniques that we have at Kemfree, we are moving in to support critical ecosystems or critical services within the different town settings. We have worked with the Shimoratewa prison to ensure that we develop a wetland that's able to treat sewage. And now we are working with the Mombasa County so that we are able to develop a modern sewage treatment system that will be able to treat sewage in Mikindani area. So all that is the expertise that is at Kemfree that is trying to support the development and of course to ensure that the ocean is not polluted, not necessarily by just culling, water test and all that, but providing solutions through these interventions. I provide this intervention here to see how can research actually go back to community and be able to provide significant benefit to them. And that is a case of a community in the northern part of Kenya in Kilifi County, in Mida Creek, where we started research way back in the year 2000, working with the communities to undertake farming of mud crabs, and then of course conservation of mangroves. Over time, ideas have come and we have developed them with the community on ecotourism. Right now, if you go to your Google and you type Crab Shack, you'll be able to get a very popular restaurant called Crab Shack that is vested in that village. And of course, communities are manning them themselves. They're making millions. They have employed over 50 community members, and they're making money out of it because of the research interventions that have taken place there. I wish to mention here that we also undertake research to be able to improve the breeds of fish that we farm. And we are strategically working on development of superior breeds of fish. And that's mainly tilapia that we work from our Sagana Center. And right now we are at F8. And this is a superior fish that grows very fast. Within a record of 5 months, you are able to get your fish. And of course, we are continuing with that interventions on the same. But on here, I just want to mention that during this conference, I also walked where the children, the secondary students are in there. And there are actually significant innovations that can be improved here. And when I walked in one of them, I found that they are having some gadgets to be able to test the humidity of soil. Okay, so they are having some chips which can send a message to your phone. And then I was challenging them and asking them, can they be able to do the same so that they can be able in our fish farms, in the tank systems, we have chips which can then be put there, and they can warn you that the dissolved oxygen is very low and your fish are going to die in the next minute. And then you can be able to act very fast, because we are moving into smaller systems of farming fish other than the bigger systems that are more resilient. So I believe that those youngsters from Kibra maybe will be able to get in touch, and we see how best we can be able to move on. I put that one there to see that in the marine environment, we are also working with the communities to be able to support them technically, to be able to farm different types of fish that are found with them in the marine environment, as you can be able to see there. But also, we are also working with the value-added systems to be able to support value addition and to ensure that where fish is being sold is more cleaner. Of course, to ensure that all that benefits all of us. We are supporting commercial interventions in terms of fish farming, and this is a model that we are developing in Taita Taveta to be able to see how best it can be able to work. We need to encourage commercial interventions in fish farming so that we can have enough fish to be able to meet our food security requirements. So we are providing technical support to that. I want to mention here that we are also working on seaweed farming. And seaweed farming is supporting several communities along the coast to be able to make money. And we have several other seaweed plants within the ocean, but we are only working on 2. That's Eukemia dentillatum and Cabaphycus arvarensi, and it's mainly farmed by women. But of course, we are working on to develop the value-added products like the shop, sambus, and all that. And seaweed is actually a very important cosmetic product. And we are working on to develop which bioactive compounds are within there. I'm told if you walk in Nairobi here and get a border of seaweeds, you will buy it at maybe 1,000 per maybe 500 grams. We can discuss about that later. Working with NRF, we have developed the first marine hatchery in the Simoni site of Kenya. And this first marine hatchery, we have been able to breed the first prawn seeds in the country in the last month, and we are progressing with that. And of course, through the support of World Bank, we are developing similar facilities of that to be able to breed 5 other more species. And so that means we can be able to support the industry going forward. We have also developed technologies and skills. Of course, supported by NRF at some point to undertake cage farming. We used the timber works, but we realized that the timber works can only take us up to 2.5 years. But now we are moved in to do the HDP cages, which are more resilient and can be able to take about 10 years. And of course, now we are working to see how the private sector can come in and support. And of course, finally, I want to mention here that we keep on working on innovations. And the pictures I'm showing it there is a Nile tilapia, that's a freshwater tilapia, but of course, which we have worked to be able to farm in the marine environment. As you know, that tilapia is actually a deadline of most countries in the world. About 48 countries love tilapia, and so we have worked on it to be able to farm it in the ocean. So we are working on selective breeding of that, and of course on patenting this technology so that it's only within the country. It has never been done elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, David. It was a little bit sneaky. The CEO told me we were going to go to Mombasa to sample the prawns. So that's why I kept waiting for you to mention NRF. Last but not least, I think I'm going to invite Professor Njenga to tell us about human now. You've seen your plants, fish, now is humans yourself. Professor Njenga from KEMRI.
Thank you very much, Chair. And before I start, I want to say that it's a big privilege for KEMRI to be speaking in this event. I am here on behalf of the Director General of KEMRI, Professor Elijah Songok, who could not be here, and also my immediate supervisor, Professor Nelly Mugo, the Director Research and Development. In terms of, so I need to move. So KEMRI vision is to be a leading center of excellence in research for human health, and our mission, our big business, is to improve human health and quality of life through research, capacity building, innovation, and service delivery. We are not as old as Caro. We are established in 1979, so we are relatively young, but in the midlife, so maybe we have our midlife crisis now. We were established under the Science and Technology Act, and then we operated for a long time, and we continue to operate under the Science, Technology and Innovation Act of 2013 as the government body responsible for carrying out research in human health. Currently, we are also operating under legal notice of 2021, but suffices to say that it is the time that we are doing our own act, so probably in the next year or so, we'll have an act. Our mandates, just like any other government agency, we have mandates that are given to us, and the first one is to conduct health, biomedical, and public health research for human health, build human health research capacity. So we are very excited to be here because we have so many young people in this room, and this is one of our mandates, to build human health research capacity, which many people don't know. And we also mandated to collaborate and partner with other local and international research bodies and institutions in carrying out human health research and capacity building. Advise the responsible ministry, for the time being, is the Ministry of Health, in matters pertaining to health research, priorities and policies, undertake scientific and technological innovation, as well as discovery, transmission, and enhancement of knowledge to stimulate intellectual life in the economy, social, culture, scientific, and technological development, and establish incubation centers for innovation and link research policymakers academia, and industry in the health products value chain. And the last one is that which allow us to do all things that are interrelated. And we operate in 7 broad research areas, from biotechnology, and this is where we do work on vaccine discovery, vaccine testing, if there is new vaccines coming in, and so forth. We do diagnostics. Myself, I do diagnostics for neglected tropical diseases, bilharzia. Currently, we are doing some work on a new rapid diagnostic test. Genetic engineering, we have a center which does genetic engineering and discovery of genetic materials. And bioinformatics. Bioinformatics is key because it's an area that is so rich that we can do a lot in that. We also have the non-communicable diseases. Those are the diseases that are associated with lifestyle that we adopt, cancers, road traffic accidents, occupational injuries, mental health, and so forth. We have a new program that we just started about 2 years ago, is One Health. One Health is on realization that human health is very closely linked with veterinary health. So we work closely with players in the veterinary area because we have diseases that cross all the time between animals and humans, so that we can tackle them. And you know about some of these diseases, including HIV. HIV, we believe, started from the animals as SIV, and then now it has adapted in humans to become HIV. And we have so many others. The other area is traditional medicine and drug development. So we work closely with our communities to harness the knowledge that they have, the indigenous knowledge about medicines from mainly plants that can be useful to support conventional medicine. We are also having a sexual, reproductive, adolescent, and child health program. Here we deal with matters maternal, child health, adolescent health, the STIs, the sexually transmitted infections, and gender-based violence. Infectious and parasitic diseases is a very broad program and one of the oldest programs. And you can imagine many diseases are infectious and they are caused by bacteria, viruses, parasites, and so forth. So this is really big. And finally, we have the public health and health systems research. So we have a lot of work here. We do epidemiology, behavioral and social sciences. Nutrition is very vibrant. Environmental and occupational health, oral health, and healthcare financing. So KEMRI does a lot of things around these broad 7 areas. So where are we? So we operate in way of research centers. And our research centers currently are 12. So research centers, we have a few here in Nairobi where our headquarters are. And then we have others in other regions. As you can see in this map, sorry, I should not have touched that. I wanted okay, I can't see that. Sorry. So as you can see, we have some in the western region, central Kenya, and eastern in the coastal region. This is where we have traditionally we have more population of Kenyans living here, and we have tried to tackle diseases here. Recently, we have on top there Mandera. We have a Mandera station which is just established, and we are hoping that it will pick up and tackle diseases that are around in those areas with our neighbor Ethiopia. I was advised that talking about KEMRI, Mr. Chair, can take more than 1 hour because of the broad and breadth of the breadth and depth of researches that we do at KEMRI. So we wanted to showcase internal research grants, we call them IRG. So these are grants that we receive funding from the government of Kenya. The reason we are showcasing is because we are talking about the 2% of the national health expenditure, and our good government has been able, since 2010, to allocate KEMRI funding so that we can stimulate research, especially to the young scientists who are joining KEMRI, so that they have something to learn with. This was a very, very novel idea, in my opinion, because some of us who joined early, I have served KEMRI for 30 years, and I see Professor Munavu here. He was my teacher at one point in BSc. When we joined the institute, we didn't have any funding. So you relied on good mentors who cared about you. But since the RG, you can come up with your own idea. As young as you are, identify a mentor, and funding is not a problem. You are funded up to 5 million. That was the initial funding, and we have seen a lot happen here. So these researches, they have many kind of impacts. Some is just for knowledge gathering. Others have influenced policy making, health system impacts. Others have societal and health-related indicators, all economic impact. They revolutionized the way economy, the people of Kenya live. So in terms of where these researches are being found, just to say in the background that since 2010, we have had 236 applications and amounting to over 2.4 billion. But those which are have been funded are 124 projects. That means more than 50% of the requests have been funded, and we have, as you can see here, more than 732 million that has been given to the young researchers. So they are implemented all over the country in 34 out of the 47 counties that you have. The areas shown in blue, the deep blue is where we have more, the light blue is where we have fewer, but the other areas that have not had any because maybe the researchers did not find something interesting to do or so. So as you can see, a lot of research happening through this IRG. I wanted to pick just a few that have been done by these young scientists. For example, the first one is mobile intelligence, artificial intelligence or AI-enabled digital X-ray for TB detection. So this is a relatively small technology that is sent mainly to hard-to-reach areas to enhance detection of TB. As you know, there has been a lot of progress in TB, but it still remains a main problem, and there are many cases that are undetected. So this innovation helps to detect this undetected TB. Then we have a Clean Air Africa project, which is about household air pollution and how we can sensitize our communities to reduce the pollution. I will skim through because the chair has risen. We have others like access of barriers, assessment of barriers to access and utilization of malaria interventions. This is to see how we can support the national malaria program to target communities to reduce malaria. Others, the national school-based deworming program. This is a key program because many children are affected by worms of many kinds. And worms not only lead to anemia, but they have been shown to be associated with negative impact in school performance. So we have seen reduction from about 32.3 to 5.8 for the normal intestinal worms, and schistosomiasis also go down almost to the recommended levels by WHO. We have also seen stem cell research, which we are looking forward to being, and this is supported by NRF, looking at how stem cell discoveries can be used to fight cancer, enhanced knowledge about sickle cell disease in Western Kenya, elimination of lymphatic fluorosis in coastal Kenya. We've supported to a point that now we are looking at elimination of the disease as a public health problem. We also have products that are going to help the Kenyan population. We have some that are medicinal, others to protect things like jiggers and so forth. And we have many products that are for cancer, especially we have products that are looking at treatment of cancer, prostate and cervical cancer. Micronutrient is another area that this funding is working on. I'll not go beyond that. This is about cancer. As you can see from this chart, we've been able to generate a lot of knowledge through publications, evidence and policy, abstracts in conferences, and even shows in the media. So when we started in 2010, as you can see, there were a lot of gaps, but it seems we have saturated the gaps that we had. So many have trained capacity building. We have supported PhDs, masters, and other types of training. So I think that is where I want to add, Mr. Chair. As I said, this presentation is just a snapshot of what KEMRI does with the government funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Well, I want to ask the presenters to come here for 1 minute so that we can have, due to time pressure, we may not be able to have a lot of questions, but I'm going to ask them one question. And before I ask that one question, I want to recognize my seniors, Professor Munavu and Professor Micheka. These are the living presidents of Kenya National Academy of Sciences. So I'm very happy to see you guys here. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask the presenters one question and each one of them will respond. Then we can call it. One, Kenya is not doing very well globally in terms of Global Innovation Index. What can we do? Because you are all seasoned scholars and researchers. What can we do to improve this phenomena? We are actually on the decline. I'll start with you. You're closer to me, Ralph.
Well, that's a tough question. You put me on the hot seat. I think it starts with investing in the young generation. 75% of the population in Kenya is below the age of 35. And these are our future researchers, scientists, and also consumers of science. And we have to start at the basics. And this is a good moment. Now, investing in primary education, secondary education, making science attractive, sexy, something that is desirable, and then extending that to good universities, because all these youngsters